Welcome to J House, where we interview people we admire who have developed skills and created cool things. We want to learn from their experiences to inspire us in our lives.
Hello.
Hey.
Today, Isaac and I are getting to learn from Jay Shetty. After living several years as a monk, he came to share the lessons he learned with a goal to make wisdom go viral. And he's been wildly successful. He's had over 26 million followers on Facebook, over 7 billion views on YouTube. He has a #1 ranked podcast called On Purpose. He's just come out with a book, Think Like a Monk, Train Your Mind for Peace and Purpose Every Day. We're super excited about that. That's just coming out right now. He's been selected for Forbes 30 Under 30. But what has impressed me the most about Jay and what made me respect him even more, I actually had the chance to meet Jay at the Streamies this year. And he was kind of the star of the show. He was hosting. He won one of the biggest awards. A lot of people were coming up to congratulate you, Jay, for your success. And I came up just to thank you for the nature of the content, the goodness that you're putting out into the world. And what impressed me the most was how humble, how present, how sincere he was. He was really listening to me. He really cared about us. He was asking me questions when, I was coming up to congratulate him. And so we deeply admire you. We're excited to learn from you. So Jay, thank you for being here with us today and teaching us about what you've learned.
Now, I want to thank you both for having me on. I'm so grateful to see what you're doing as a parent, what you're doing as a son. It's so inspiring. I'm not a father yet. And so I really, really hope that I can learn and be inspired by both of you and what you're creating. And yeah, I just want to thank you for reaching out. I feel so touched and grateful genuinely to have so many people interested in the work. And I hope I can answer your questions today.
So what does it mean to be a monk, and why did you become one?
Okay, so what it means to be a monk is wanting to live a life which is dedicated to mastering your mind and serving humanity. So that's what it means to be a monk, that you're living a life that is dedicated to living a life where what you think, what you say, and what you do are aligned, and that you can use your words, your actions, and your intentions to actually help others and make a difference in their life. So the monk motto is something along the lines of, may all beings be happy. And you want to be a part of creating that happiness for others.
That's so beautiful.
Yeah. You said that you spend like half your day in silence. Do you get bored doing that? I'd probably be bored after half an hour.
Yeah, so it's true. We would spend half of our days in silence and personal meditation. We'd spend the other half in service or helping people. And you're right. In the beginning, when you start doing it, it can get pretty boring pretty quickly. Now, what's interesting is that as you grow older and the more time you take to spend time on your own, you start to realize that so much of your life gets so busy and hectic, and there's phone calls and there's emails and there's people, that actually finding that silence and that stillness actually helps you understand and get clarity on what you want to do next. So you're right. In the beginning, it's boring, but then you start to see the benefits from it, and then you do it more.
What kinds of service did you do?
Great question. So one of the things we did is that we used to often cook in these huge pots. We would cook food that we could then distribute to the homeless. So we would go out to feed the homeless. We'd go into schools and give it to young children who don't get hot meals in school. And so there's this beautiful program in India, which is run by the government and privately funded, called midday meals. And so these children don't get access to food and they don't get access to an education. And so people sponsor it so that not only do they get an education, but they get a warm meal so they can stay focused at school. We were involved in sustainable villages that show how we can create a life for people that is environmentally sustainable. And so it was all these different ways in which we were trying to help others and serve and support people. And it really, I'll tell you a personal example. I remember seeing this kid. How old are you now, Isaac?
I'm 12.
You're 12. Okay. So I was around 9 years old the first time I visited India. And I was in the back of a car, and I was born and raised in London. So I grew up in a very big city in London, in England. And I was in India, and I was in the back of in a taxi with my parents. And I looked outside and I saw this child, which was probably around my age, 9 years old, maybe a bit younger than me. And I couldn't tell at first whether it was a boy or a girl because their head was inside a trash can. And then all of a sudden, their head came out of a trash can, and I could see it was a girl, and she didn't even have hands, and she was trying to get food from inside the trash can. And I remember seeing that at 9 years old and being like shocked, because I was like, I'd never seen a child without hands finding food in a trash can. And I remember that day just feeling completely moved, that I was like, God, I wanted to do something for her, but I was in the back of a car. I was on the other side of the road. I didn't have any food to give her. I was 9 years old. And I felt so helpless. And I knew in my heart that I wanted to help in a certain way. And I knew that I would never solve homelessness, or I would never solve starvation or hunger. But I knew that I wanted to try and help, even if it was just one person.
Do you think that kids can, like, what ways can kids make a difference now?
Yeah, I think kids can make a difference in a lot of ways. One of the ways is doing what you're doing right now, is being so inquisitive and being so patient and asking me these questions, even if I don't even know if I'm giving you the right answer. It's just the fact that you're being curious is like the best thing a kid can do. Because if you're curious, you're always going to open up your mind, which means you're going to find out more about the world than someone who's not curious. So that's the first thing. Kids can be curious. That's one of the best things they can do. The second thing I'd say is, if there's something that you see in your area or the area that you're living in, or something around your home, and you think, oh, I'd really love to help that person, or I'd love to help those people. I see something that affects me. I remember my nephew visited LA a couple of years ago, and I was carrying him around. He's probably around, I think he was probably 3 years old at the time. Like he's tiny. And I'm carrying him around, and we were walking around LA, and he saw homeless people. And he was like, who are they? What are they? Like, he was so curious. And I was telling him, oh, they're homeless. And he goes, well, how can we help them? You know, and I was thinking, look, it's like a 3-year-old, like
just so sincere.
So sincere and so innocent and so beautiful. And so I think if there's something in your heart, someone that, and it may just be someone at your school. You may say to mom and dad, you may say, hey, you know, there's this kid at school and I think they're getting bullied, or they're getting into trouble, or they don't have the right support. It doesn't have to be going across the world. It can just start right where you are. Actually, there's a kid that I want to tell you about. His full name is Craig Kielberger, and he founded We Day, which is an incredible charity and platform that I'm a part of now and an ambassador for. And he founded it when he was 14 years old. So he was just 2 years older than you. And he was a kid who wanted to do service, but every time he called a charity, the charities would say to him, they'd be like, do you have any money? And he'd be like, no, I'm 14 years old. And they'd be like, well, we don't need your time. We need your money. And so he was just like, how does that make sense? So he founded a charity. Oprah invited him onto the show when he was like 14.
Wow.
She funded his charity in the beginning. I believe she sponsored a bit of it. Today, it's a huge charity that teaches kids about service, that introduces kids to these amazing We Day experiences. And it came from him as 14-year-old feeling like he wanted to be more involved in making a difference. So hopefully those give you some ideas as to how kids can help.
We've heard the story that when you were in business school, there was a monk that came to speak, and it impacted you so much that it led to you going to eventually become a monk. Do you remember what it was that monk said, or what it was that you felt that was so impactful from that initial time you heard him spoke? Yeah,
absolutely. So I was really interested at that time to learn from people who'd gone from rags to riches. So people who'd gone from nothing to something. I was like a sponge, and I was like, I want to learn from the most successful people in the world. And then I found out that a monk was speaking, and I was thinking, well, what am I going to learn from a monk? Like, what are monks going to teach me? They have nothing to teach me. They don't have any money. They don't have any success. They don't have any, what do they have? And so I was a bit negative about going, but I went because I had good friends who were encouraging me to go. And what resonated with me, to answer your question, is that he was saying that the best use of our talents and gifts is when we use them to make a difference in people's lives. When we use our talents and gifts to make others happy, that's the true meaning of life. And that really hit me when I was 18, because when I was 18, I'd met people who were rich. I'd met people who were famous. I'd met people who were beautiful. I'd met people who were strong and powerful and athletic. But I don't think I'd ever met anyone who was truly happy. And he seemed happy. And so I was like, well, if he's happy and he's telling me that service and making a difference and being compassionate makes you happy, then maybe he's onto something. So that's what it was that he said, that just, and it aligns with everything we've been talking about so far. It just so deeply connected with me that life wasn't about just getting and having stuff. It was about seeing how we could have a positive impact on people.
What do you do that makes you so happy? Like, what do monks do?
That's it. That's another great question. I think one of the things is that you live a joyful lifestyle. And what I mean by that is that your life is always about understanding yourself better and then helping people understand themselves better. So I'll explain what I mean by that. When I talk about understanding yourself, sometimes we have feelings that we think we shouldn't have. So it might be anger, or it might be stress, or it might be feeling upset. And we think, oh no, it's bad to feel upset and I shouldn't feel worried and I shouldn't feel sad. And monks realize that actually all of these feelings have to be felt. And these feelings can be used to feel better. So instead of running away from our feelings that make us feel bad, we try to understand them. We try to get to know them. And we talk about them with people that we trust, like your parents, or we talk with each other to really understand where they're coming from, rather than feeling like they're bad emotions and we shouldn't have them. Another thing that makes us joyful is we're always trying to help other people. So you'll find that if you're always trying to make a difference in someone's life and they'll be happy and they'll be grateful back to you, that's going to fill you with joy. And the third thing is that monks also joke around a lot. So a lot of people don't realize that monks know how to have fun, and they can be pretty funny themselves. And so monks find ways. I'll give you an example about one of the ways that we'd often have fun was we'd often get into this situation where we used to have, I'll tell you, I'm giving you super insights now. So we used to have 2 rooms in the monastery. We had more, but we had 2 rooms where we had a snoring room and we had a non-snoring. Are you a snorer, Isaac, or are you not a snorer?
No, but he is.
Oh man, he's called me out. I have to sleep in the snoring room.
In the ashram, you'd be in the snoring room, and Isaac, like me, I don't snore either. So I'd be in this non-snoring room. Now, the funny thing is, sometimes at night, people would snore so loud that we would hear them snoring in the non-snoring room. And then all of us would be laughing about like which kind of motorcycle it sounded like. Like, oh, that sounds like a Harley Davidson, or that sounds like a Ferrari, or, that sounds like a Vespa, or whatever it is. We would joke around. So yeah, monks know how to have fun, and we don't take life too seriously.
I love how you were obsessed with the rags to riches story, and you've become that. You decided to leave the tranquility and maybe even the comforts of being in a monastery to come and to try to do something as bold as share wisdom with the world. I mean, that's going to face a lot of rejection and a lot of failure. You've said that you had over $26,000 of student loan debt. You're moving with your parents. You're 26. All your other friends seem to already be working at jobs and having success. How did you deal with the rejections you faced and those feelings of maybe failure to become your own rags to riches type of success story?
Yeah, it was a really stressful time in my life when I moved back in with my parents. I was 26. Like you said, I had, I think, $25,000, $26,000 of debt to pay off for my student loan, like you said. And I was in a space where I didn't know the next step. Like, I was genuinely confused and I was genuinely stuck. Like, I can't explain. I wish I had a camera then to video how I felt and document it, because I don't even think people will ever understand like how stuck I felt. And the way I dealt with rejection is I studied the lives of people that inspired me. So when I read about people like, whether it was growing up, it was Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, Will Smith, David Beckham, whether it was Steve Jobs or Martin Luther King or Gandhi, I studied the lives of these people, whether it was Oprah, right? Like Oprah's life, or whether it was, Serena Williams, like whoever it was. Like, I was learning about the lives of people that I was inspired by. And the only thing I saw in common with all of them is that they'd all faced rejection and failure. So Isaac, who are the people that you kind of get inspired by today? Like, who are some of your like role models?
I really like to learn about entrepreneurs, so like Elon Musk or Jeff Bezos.
Yeah,
those
amazing.
kind of people.
Yeah, that's a great example. So at my time, the 2 kind of iconic business people at my time and entrepreneurs were Steve Jobs. So like Steve Jobs was like a huge icon for me. And at that time, there was also Bill Gates. Like, those were like the big 2 guys of like my generation and my time that we saw, and obviously Elon Musk and Jeff Bezos today. So just looking at Jeff Bezos and Elon Musk, and I'm sure you're doing this already because you're super smart, if you're reading about their lives and if you're watching documentaries about them and if you're listening to interviews with them, you will hear them talk about how tough their life has been. I'm sure you've seen the picture of Jeff Bezos in the first ever Amazon office. If you haven't, just Google it. And it's like, he's like stuck in, he's
There's
like
a
almost
banner.
It's like a banner where he's like wrote Amazon.com. And like when you see that and you go, oh, I respect Jeff Bezos. He went through a lot of struggle to get there, which means if I want to get there, if you do, then I'm going to have to go through a lot of struggle and failure and rejection. So that's one thing that really helped me, is studying the lives of people that have impacted me. The second thing is, I always said to myself, don't judge the moment. This was an affirmation we learned as monks. Don't judge the moment. And there was another one that we learned, which I love, which I'm going to ask you to say after me, Isaac. It's called, I'm exactly where I'm meant to be. I want you to say it. Go, Isaac.
I am exactly where I'm meant to be.
Awesome. I love that. Thank you for doing that. And so that's such a powerful affirmation, because your mind is always telling you, oh, you should have been ahead by now. You should have been more successful by now. You should have been smarter by now. Or it's telling you, you're behind everyone. You're like not making it. Your friends are doing better than you. And the truth is that you're exactly where you need to be. You're exactly where you're meant to be. And when you realize that and you go, oh, don't judge the moment. I can turn this into the best thing that's ever happened to me. And I saw that some of my toughest times in my life actually were the best things that ever happened to me. Even in the beginning, they seemed like, the worst thing that ever happened to me. And the third and final thing that I'd say, how I dealt with rejection or failure, is that I took it as a point of learning how I can improve. So rather than taking it personally and thinking it's all my fault, I would take it with the perspective of what can I learn from this? And when you do that, you just come back stronger. So if someone told me that my video idea was bad, I just go and make the video and make it awesome. Or like, I'll give you an example. I'll give you a really real example. 2 years ago, 1.5 years ago now, when I launched my podcast, I was about to launch with a really big podcast company. And they said to me that they wanted to do it. And then 2 weeks before my podcast was meant to launch, they pulled out and said they didn't want to do it. And their reason was they said it wasn't going to be a big podcast. True story, hand on my heart. 2 weeks before my podcast was meant to be released, the big production company pulls out and we're like, Jay, we don't think this is going to be a big podcast, because just because people follow you on social media doesn't mean they're going to listen to your podcast. So in 2 weeks, I had to scrap together everything. I had to get my team together. We had to get it all organized, and we launched it. And we debuted at number 5 in the world on iTunes.
Yep.
And now, the podcast has been one of my favorite things to do. And the truth is that I'm so grateful. So the thing is, the interesting lesson is, don't be upset with the people that didn't give you a chance. Be grateful to them. Because if they gave you a chance, you might be working for them. And because they said no, you actually get to build your own thing.
Of all the rags to riches stories that you've studied, which one resonated the most with you and is most personal to you, that keeps you kind of moving and going?
Ooh, that's a great question.
And while you think about it, for me, just personally, it was the early Huffington Post videos of you on Facebook. I follow almost nobody on Facebook besides my personal friends, but I saw those, and you were talking about failure. You were giving examples about Abraham Lincoln and Oprah Winfrey and all these people. And it was so moving, so powerful, that I jumped into becoming one of those 26 million followers. And so I know that's a tough question to say, what's your favorite? But I just wondered, maybe during different times of your life, or ones that really stood out as like, wow, these are ones that are most personal to me.
Yeah, so I think when I was young, probably when I was around Isaac's age or slightly older, I'd say one of my biggest ones was David Beckham. Mm-hmm. And obviously, I don't know how well you know David Beckham, but for me, he was like our Tom Brady, I guess.
Yeah,
or
Michael Jordan.
Yeah, Michael Jordan, like our version of LeBron James or Kobe Bryant. Like he was like the star growing up. And I read his autobiography when I was probably around 14, 15. And in that book, he talked about how, like, when all his friends were out partying, he'd be on the soccer pitch, the football pitch, practicing free kicks. So while everyone was out on a Friday night, he'd be there in the park and he'd be practicing his craft.
He was dedicated.
He was dedicated, exactly. And I was so inspired by that. I was like, everyone thought that he was missing out, but he didn't miss out on anything. He created this incredible life for himself. He was England captain. He won a trophy in like France and Italy and England and the United States. He's a football icon, you know? And so that was when I was growing up. When I got older, Steve Jobs definitely became a huge influence in my life. And that was because, you know, he'd been through a lot of pain and trauma in his life of like, you know, not knowing who his parents were, to trying to find his way, to
getting ousted from his company.
He spent a lot of time with spirituality and monks too. So he had a really big spiritual connection, which I was really inspired by. And, you know, like getting kicked out of your own company, like being told that your ideas are not going to work, and then going off and also building Pixar. I'm like, this guy was genius. Like there's just so much genius to it. And also just how he spoke. I used to at one point, Isaac, and this is something I'd recommend, I used to listen to his Stanford. So he was asked to give a Stanford commencement speech. I forgot what year it's in now, but it's a really famous speech. But at one point in my life, I used to listen to that speech every day. And I literally knew it all off by heart. And I can genuinely say that listening to that speech every day transformed the voice in my head. It was so powerful. And so, yeah, I'd have to say Steve Jobs. And now there's a lot of people, like whether it's Oprah, like I mentioned, or Will Smith or Dwayne The Rock Johnson, like these are all people that, another one's Cristiano Ronaldo. As you can tell, I'm massively soccer influenced and football influenced growing up in England. But yeah, those are some of the examples of people.
For you personally, you're now facing this new struggle of fame, success, and endless opportunity. I know a lot of people don't think of those things as struggles, but they really can be difficult. What are you finding to be the hardest thing to try to continue to think like a monk now that you're facing those new challenges of success?
Yeah, great. What these are amazing questions, by the way, you guys. I'm having so much fun. So the key thing there is that, and you said this right, so the Bhagavad Gita and the Vedas that I study as a monk, they actually say that fame is an austerity.
Yeah.
And that does, you know, it's funny because I read that like 10 years ago, and now I'm having to understand what that means to a little degree. One of the first things I think that the hardest thing to think like a monk when your life changes in this way is to remain grounded and remain a student and a continuous learner. It's so easy to
That humility,
yeah. It's so easy to start thinking like, I know everything now and it's all working out and it's all going in the right direction. And that's not the mindset that got me here. And so the mindset that got me here was I'm always learning, always be around people that are smarter than you, and don't ever think that you've completed anything because life can change at any moment. And so that's the thing that I remind myself of the most. And by the way, trying to be humble, because we never achieve humility. You're always trying to be humble.
At least you better not think you've achieved it.
Yeah, you can't. I mean, you can't. There's a beautiful story, actually. Now that you've triggered my mind, there's a story of Benjamin Franklin. So Benjamin Franklin had something called the 13 virtues or precepts that he aspired to accomplish in his life. And they were things like tranquility, integrity, honesty. And so he had a journal, Isaac, where he literally wrote these things and he would measure himself as if he did them. And he always said, like, sometimes he ate too much or he slept too much or whatever. He wouldn't always perfect it. But when he was dying, they asked him which was the virtue that he didn't achieve. And he said it was the 13th one. And the 13th one was humility.
Wow.
And so that, you know, we always realize that humility is something you're always aspiring for. So for me, I think that's always my aspiration, because I feel that when you are aspiring for humility, you're in the safest place and you're always in a place of growth and learning. And if you're in a place of arrogance or pride, then we all know pride comes before the fall. And unfortunately, you have to learn the hard way. So when you're humble, when you aspire to be humble, you get to learn in a simple way. And if you choose arrogance, then you have to learn the hard way.
I think you're becoming like one of the people that I look up to, along with all the other people.
Isaac, that's very sweet of you to say. And I would say to you that that's a reflection of the greatness in your own heart. And that's a reflection of the young man that you are and that you're becoming. And it's beautiful that you're doing this. Like, genuinely, you're going to inspire so many people And I just want you to always just be honest with yourself and with your parents. That if you do that, you're just gonna have a great life. When we're honest about how we feel and what we're going through and what we need in our life, you never go wrong. So I appreciate that, and that's genuinely a reflection of who you are.
What's your favorite question, or one of your favorite questions you ask your guests on your podcasts, and what's your answer to that question for yourself?
You guys are good. That is good. One of my favorite questions I probably asked my guests, and I've never thought of my answer, so you're asking me for the first time. One of my favorite questions I asked, which was inspired by a question that Drama asked me. I don't know if you know the Drama, the music producer, and also the clothing creator and everything. So I went on his podcast, Drama. His name's Chris. We used to be workout buddies when we lived in the same building. So it's a question that he kind of asked me, and I adapted it. It's called, if you could create a law that everyone in the world had to follow.
Yeah, the categorical imperative. What
would it be? And so that's the question. I've never thought of an answer, so I'm going to think about it right now. Okay, what would if I had a law that everyone else in the world had to follow, and me included, had to
What's
follow?
funny was I was going to start before we even recorded telling you that question so you could be thinking about it, because I knew it was such a hard question, but I'm super interested.
Yeah, let me think on camera. It's good. It's good that people see the reality. It takes time to think about these answers. I want to give you a really honest answer. What I think a law would have to be.
So Immanuel Kant was a philosopher, and he came up with this idea of the categorical imperative. Was you could measure an idea of its morality based on what if everyone had to do it. So for example, like littering. If everyone littered, then the world would be covered in trash. And so it makes sense as a law that we should clean up after ourselves, because if everyone cleaned up after themselves, the earth will be clean. Mm-hmm. So that's an example of that. So that's kind of at the heart of this question, the philosophy behind it.
That's beautiful. Thank you for explaining that so wonderfully. Yeah, I would say it would be to not judge and to walk a mile in someone's shoes before making an assessment, not a judgment or an assumption about their life and experience.
It's beautiful.
I would say to never judge, and it's to make an assessment or an observation. Even after you walked a mile in someone's shoes, it's still not to create a judgment. It's only to create an observation and an assessment of their experience. But we don't ever have the right to judge. And so I feel I would set that law. I just feel like, like Isaac's 12 years old right now. Unless I talk to you, Isaac, and I follow you around for a week and we go to school together and I live with your parents, it's like, I don't really understand your experience, and I can judge you from afar, but I don't think that I don't think I have the right to do that. And I also don't think that what I judge will even be correct. And I think I've experienced that so many times in my life where you judge someone in a moment, and I've done it before too. You judge someone just based on one video or one message or one moment you spent with them, and then all of a sudden you're like, oh, they're a good person or a bad person. And actually, if you spend time with them, you understand so much more.
I just watched your video with your wife where you switched positions for a day and experienced that, where you could have greater empathy actually trying to do what she does every day, and she had to try to do what you do. I thought that was fun.
I need to see that.
If you had to answer that question of one law that everyone had to follow, what do you think would be a good one as well?
Oh, that's hard. Maybe being respectful to people.
Like if everyone had to respect,
Yeah.
that would be a different world. Imagine if everyone had to respect each other. And that really goes along the lines of the empathy and walking in their shoes, right? Like we respect people when we're willing to understand them. I was thinking that too, like if we all had it was a law to have love one for another, just that basic kind of golden rule. There's something to it. Well, we are running out of time, but your new book, we're recording this before it's been released, but by the time we're posting this, I think it'll be available. We'll put the link below. Think Like a Monk. Here's some of the principles that you talk about in there. And I just want to read these off because Honestly, I wanted to get you to answer all of these, but we'll have to read the book.
You can do it if you want, whatever you want to do. I'm loving this. So
Here's some of them. I just picked 6 of them, and you have tons of principles in it. But Isaac, maybe you could read some of these. These are the ones we went through a list of what was in there of things we wanted to kind of chat about. And I know we can't get to all of them, but why don't you read these 6 for us, Isaac, so people can know kind of what's in the book?
So, how to find calm in the chaos, how to improve negativity, how to develop a powerful gratitude practice, how to uncover your true passion and purpose, how to stop overthinking and increase focus, and how to stop worrying about what others think.
If you had to pick one, Isaac, that we could ask Jay about, which one do you want to kind of get his advice and wisdom on for us and our family?
I think right now a big one is how to find calm in the chaos, because I'm one of 5 kids, so there's often chaos.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Especially during lockdown, I guess.
Yes.
I'm sure it's very challenging. Yeah, finding calm in the chaos is probably one of the most useful skills. So we lose calm when we try and control everything. So when we try and make everything line up exactly how we want it to be, there's pretty much no chance that everything's going to line up how we want it to be. Rather, when we accept that some things are going to line up perfectly and some things aren't, we allow ourselves to be relieved of the pressure we put on ourselves. So if you're organizing a birthday party or you're organizing a fun activity on the weekend, not everyone is going to do everything in the way you want them to do it. And
unfortunately.
Unfortunately or fortunately.
Yeah, exactly.
And in that scenario, you can either choose to be attached and be like, no, it has to be like this and look like this and it has to turn out like this. Or you can be like, you know what? Actually, we might find a new path or a new experience that actually makes this better. And it's that openness that helps us find calm as opposed to creating more chaos when we try and control everything.
We have almost like, I forgot what the name of it. It's like how you would say, like, I'm where I'm meant to be.
An affirmation?
Yeah, an affirmation. It's not an affirmation, but it's almost that way we say Johnstons are flexible. Like, that's like something that we, like it.
That is an affirmation.
Yeah.
Yeah, we also say Johnstons make mistakes, and that's okay. Yeah.
I love it. You guys are amazing. This is incredible. This is great. I love that. Those are affirmations. They're beautiful.
We're doing those affirmations because it's things we genuinely struggle with. You know, we struggle with perfectionism. We struggle with the anxiety of wanting to control things, and we're aware of it. Yeah. And it's so hard to try. Man, I have so many more questions that I want to ask, and I respect your time. I think just there's 2 kind of personal ones that I don't even know if I'll include these, but they're things I want to talk to you about because I respect you so much. Isaac only has 6 more years left. He's our oldest, you know, and it's scary and it's crazy to think that this time is almost over. It's going so fast. And I want him to have that wisdom, the principles, the things you're talking about, and the things we're discussing. I know I can try my best to learn these things and embody them myself and be an example. Beyond that, you know, when you think ahead to when you have a 12-year-old son, when you have kids, what can I do more to give them the most important things, which are these true principles that lead to what matters most in life?
Yeah, that's beautiful, man. Thank you for asking that. And yeah, in my not having a child, I'll try my best to answer it in terms of having been a child myself. So I'll answer from that perspective. I think the first thing is, and it is this, and I'm not just saying it because we're doing this, but literally the amount of parents that will come up to me and talk to me about their 18-year-old or their 21-year-old. And sometimes these are very successful people who are going through challenges with their kids, whether their kids have got involved in drugs or they've got involved in, you know, all sorts of bad habits. And one of the best things you can do for children is to get out of the way and introduce them to the people that they look up to or the people that they admire. And you're doing that. Like, you're trying to help. You're trying not to be the inspiration to your children and the savior of your children, and saying, hey, you might be inspired by this person or this person or this. And that's beautiful. Like, I give this example. Like, it's funny that, you know, whenever I've talked to athletes' kids, their favorite athlete is never their dad or their mom. Their favorite athlete is always someone else. And it doesn't make sense in our head because you're like, wait a minute, your mom or dad is the coolest athlete in the world.
Yeah.
But your parents are never the coolest people to you. And that's not a bad thing. But what happens is your parents become the coolest people to you when they're okay with introducing to other people that you can learn from. So you're already doing that. And that's one step that I would always do. I don't think my kids are going to think I'm interesting or useful and exciting. I've admitted that. But I know that I'm going to be able to find people that they're really going to look up to. And I'm going to make sure that I can connect them with those people. So that's one thing. The second thing that I would do is I think allowing Isaac to have as many alternative experiences as possible. Like the more discovery there is in his life, the more exploration there is in his life that not everyone's going to do. Like some people may expose the kids to certain activities. I would say as much as they can be exposed to, the better, because in that experimenting, Isaac will find what he loves and what he's passionate about and what really brings him to life. And so the more he can be exposed to from an experience point of view, the better it is. I definitely do that. And the third thing I'd say is always having a relationship with a friend. You know, I hope that with a future, and I see you guys have this, I really hope that I can have a friendship with my kids. I don't want them to feel like I'm their guide or their teacher or they're the person who's going to
disciplinarian.
Or tell them all the right answers or their authority. Like I want them to be able to come to me. I'm hoping that I can create this where they'll be able to come to me and be like, Dad, I've got involved in this stuff and I know you don't do it yourself, but I'm messing up. Tell me what you think. Like I hope that I can have that. And I think keeping that non-judgmental two-way communication, it saves that. And I see that with my wife. My wife really has that with her parents. I grew up a bit more scared of my parents. And so I wouldn't want to tell them what I was doing because I was scared that they were going to lash out. Whereas my wife has a really open relationship with her parents and she's not scared of telling them the truth. And I always want that, you know, I'm like, I want that with my kids. I want my kids to be okay with telling me, Dad, you know what, I'm making mistakes right now, but I want you to know it. And I'd be happier knowing and helping them than not knowing. So those would be the three things.
Yeah, I think with like seeing like having different experiences, like 2 years ago, we went to Puerto Rico to kind of do that. Like
we moved to Puerto Rico.
Yeah. And right now we're like visiting like friends and family back in the States. But
I love that.
How did that open your mind and your perspective? He actually went to a Spanish immersion school for a bit. How did that impact you to have those experiences?
I think it's just like, I don't know, how different lives can be. Like in Puerto Rico, there's almost like there's a spot that we live that's a lot nicer and stuff. But then you drive down and then there's like all this like
homelessness
and struggle. So, yeah.
Exposure.
Yeah, that's great life experience. And, you know, when your parents are giving you that, my parents and I traveled a lot. We would drive across Europe. So we'd drive to the side of England, jump on a ferry, a boat, and get onto the other side in France, and then drive across Europe. And that life experience as a kid was so valuable for me because I met so many cultures growing up. So for me, I never felt like I was out of place. I felt like everywhere felt like home because I could find people that I connected with everywhere.
Jay, you talked about using mantras in meditation. What are some of the most common ones you use? Because I'm not utilizing meditation the way I want to. You know, I'm kind of new to it. I came from more of a Christian prayer background and not as much of the meditation, but I need it. You know, I need the calm. I need the peace. And I think that just going blank for me won't be as effective as more mantra focused. And so I'm wondering what are some of the mantras that you use and maybe I could piggyback and steal some of this.
Yeah, absolutely. So I think one of the most simplest mantras that I chant, and by the way, I'm a big fan of Christian prayer and prayer myself. So I think it's beautiful. I also love Christian choirs and gospel. And, you know, I think all of that music is just so powerful and prayerful. I think it's beautiful. So first of all, I'm a big fan and supporter of any form of connecting with a source or a higher purpose. And so for me, I've always focused on Vedic mantras. So one of the most common ones is Om, and people hear that a lot. It's very popular. It's very known. But Om, as a definition, is a sacred sound, and it's seen as like the first syllable of the universe or the first sound in the universe. And it really allows us to connect with our soul and our deepest self. And so the chanting of Om, or the repetition of Om, and really when we're chanting mantras, what we're really trying to do is absorb the vibration of the sound. So when you say it, you want to really almost like bathe your mind in the mantra. Another mantra that I love, which is what I started with, but I gave the English definition. This one's a bit harder to say, but I'm sure you can say it with me. So the first one is Sarva.
Sarvan.
Yeah. Stukino.
Stukino.
Yeah. That's good. And the last word is Bhavantu.
Bhavantu.
Perfect. That's great. And what that means is, may everyone be happy. And so when you're meditating on that, you're allowing yourself to fill yourself up with compassion, to be an instrument of love and compassion, and to give that out there. And of course, if you find English words easier, one of my favorite mantras genuinely is, I'm exactly where I need to be. That is genuinely one of my favorite things to say to myself. Another one is, don't judge the moment. I repeat that to myself multiple times per day because I think I judge the moment so fast. And I'd say one more of mine is, one thing I really believe in is, the mantra or the affirmation you go to sleep with is the mood you wake up with. So every night before I go to sleep, I say, I will wake up energized, refreshed, and rested. And I find when I say that to myself at night and I wake up, obviously I have to sleep on time and stuff. You can't say that at 1 a.m. and wake up at 4 and expect for it to work. But after doing all that, I say that to myself and I wake up, and I always wake up I am refreshed, I'm energized, I'm rested. I feel great. So those are some of the more English and more easy ones.
Do you still spend time in silence each day?
Yeah, so I still meditate for about 1.5 hours to 2 hours every day. And it's my daily practice. I've been doing that since I was 18. So it's been 15 years now. I'm 33 now. And I started meditating for about 10 minutes a day when I was around your age. So when I was your age, I was the same as you. I'd get bored if I was doing it for 2 hours. Couldn't do it, but I would do my 10 minutes. I would do like my 7 minutes a day when I was your age. And I found that 7 minutes just got better and better and better and better and better. And then when I turned 18, I was like, I really want to get into this. And I really got into it. So I still do that every single day. It's a really powerful practice for me. It really helps me. And I consider it like eating. Like it's almost like you have to eat every day to keep your body fit. You have to exercise every day to keep your body fit. And so what are we doing for our soul? What are we doing for our mind? And so a lot of people say that meditation is like a gym for the mind. So when you think about it like that, you're like, oh yeah, I went to the gym or I played sport for my body. What can I do for my mind?
You have like 26 million followers on Facebook, like tons of expectations. Having that time must be like super helpful to like calm in the chaos.
Yeah, exactly. Well said. Yeah, it's so true. Like, when you want to do something, my teacher would always say to me, if you want to move 3 steps forward, you have to go 3 steps inwards first. Like if you want to move forward, you got to go deep first. So if I want to help people and if I want to do all these amazing things, all these ideas that I have, if I'm more centered and calm and grounded, I can do them with the right intention, in the right way, and really be present with people. And to me, that's ultimately what's going to make it meaningful, because guess what? There are so many people who've got everything in the world. They've got the followers, the money, the everything, and they still feel dissatisfied. And I don't want to be in that. I don't want to go down that path. And so I'm trying to understand that now. And I want to help people who've gone down that path, because I'm only lucky because I met amazing people that I know what to do. And so I want to make sure that they also meet other amazing people that can help them do what they need to do.
Well, Jay, we so appreciate your time, and I'm sorry we went so far over the time that we should have, but we just really respect you. We love you, and we're grateful for what you're doing for the world. It is making a big difference, and just thank you for speaking with us. We so appreciate it.
This was so much fun, and I really hope that we get to do this in person next time. So if you're ever in LA, I would love to do this again so we can be in the same room. And Isaac, I can't wait to see you grow older. I look forward to seeing, hopefully I get to meet you every year of your life, and I get to hear about what you're up to and what you're learning. And Jeremy, I'm so grateful that you reached out after being at the Streamies. When I got your email and I forwarded it to my team so we can make sure we could do this, I really appreciate the way you approach this. And I'm just grateful to you, man. Thank you so much. And But yeah, no, what you're doing is wonderful. Keep doing it. Thank you for all your support around the book. It means a lot. And Isaac, I look forward to hearing more from you as well. So thank you so much. Thanks, guys.
Yeah.
Yep. Have a great day, Jay. Bye.
Thanks for joining us today. If you liked what you heard, we'd love for you to leave a podcast review.
Thanks for listening. J House out.